You know, it's possible that we could feel outraged at America's defiance against God, and yet feel personally detached from our nation's problems. After all, this mess we're in isn't our fault. Are we really to blame? Yes, because we live in a republic, a government established of the people, by the people, for the people. You and I are the ultimate decision makers, we the people. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. And that's just what most of us have done. Nothing. We sat idly by and watched while God was kicked out of our schools, thrown out of our government, legislated out of our institutions, moved out of our homes, and yes, even out of some of our churches. And when God went, everything that was holy and just and righteous and beautiful went too. Our silence has condemned us. Ringing down the corridors of time comes God's solution. Rebuild the foundation. But foundation building is costly. What price does God expect us to pay? First, we must pay the price of genuine repentance. We must agree with God that we have violated His commandments and gone our own way. Next, we must commit ourselves to obey all of God's commands. Then, we must pay the price of persistent, prevailing prayer for our nation. God's promise is not changed. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. Finally, we must be willing to risk anything to raise high the standard of God's holiness. This will mean actively involving ourselves in the decision-making processes of our nation. By registering and voting, we can use our voice to speak out for God and His righteousness, and to plead with millions of Americans to return to God and His standard of morality. Together, we must seek the help of God. The pain our nation now feels must not be the agonizing pain of death, but rather the rejoicing pain of birth, the rebirth of our nation.